The grill sizzled like a warning shot, flames leaping up to kiss the summer air. But it was the man's voice that hit me first, low, gravelly, cutting through the chatter like a blade. "You look like you've got stories you ain't told yet," he said, his eyes locking onto mine across the crowded yard. A wedding band flashing silver under the relentless California sun. I froze, beer bottle halfway to my lips, because in that split second, I knew this backyard party was about to unravel everything I'd buried deep. I never planned on spilling my guts at Sarah's family barbecue. Hell, I barely wanted to show up. At 25, fresh out of a soul-crushing breakup with a guy who'd ghosted me after 2 years of whispered promises in dimly lit Brooklyn bars, I was done with crowds. Done with small talk that danced around the edges of who I really was. But Sarah, my ride or die from college, the straight-laced sorority girl who'd somehow become my fiercest ally in navigating the messy world of being gay in America, wouldn't take no for an answer. "Alex, it's just ribs and relatives," she'd texted, her emoji game strong as ever. "You need sunlight, and Uncle Mark makes a mean pulled pork." So there I was, in the sprawling backyard of her parents' craftsman house in Pasadena, the kind of place with avocado trees heavy with fruit and a view of the San Gabriel Mountains that screamed old money comfort. The air hummed with the 4th of July hangover, red, white, and blue bunting still strung up from last week, kids chasing each other with water guns, and aunts hollering recipes over the hum of a blender whipping up margaritas. Sarah's family was the picture of Midwestern transplants gone Hollywood. Her dad in khakis grilling like his life depended on it, her mom flitting between guests with a tray of deviled eggs, and a gaggle of cousins debating the Dodgers' latest trade. I stuck to the fringes, nursing a craft IPA from some local brewery, my board shorts and faded Ramones tea blending in just enough to avoid questions. I come out to Sarah's sophomore year, after a drunken night at a queer film festival in LA, but family gatherings? Those were minefields. One wrong glance, one too long laugh, and the whispers started. "Is Alex, you know, better to fade into the hibiscus bushes, scroll TikTok, pretend I was anywhere else." That's when he appeared. Uncle Mark, Sarah's mom's brother, the one she'd mentioned in passing, divorced once, remarried to Aunt Lisa, some high-powered real estate agent with a laugh like a hyena on helium. He was taller than I'd pictured, broad-shouldered in a way that spoke of weekend hikes in the Sierras rather than gym selfies. His dark hair streaked with silver that caught the light like frost on asphalt. He wore a simple button-down rolled to the elbows, sleeves hugging forearms tanned from what I guessed were golf outings or yard work. And those eyes, hazel, sharp, like they could read the fine print on your soul without asking permission. He sidled up to the cooler, popping the top on a Shiner Bock with a practiced flick. "Sarah said you'd be the quiet one," he started, not turning fully, like he was talking to the ice cubes. "Said you got a eye for photography. That true?" I blinked, caught off guard. "Sarah, that traitor." Yeah. Landscapes mostly. Nothing fancy." My voice came out steadier than I felt, but my pulse kicked up a notch. Up close, he smelled like cedar cologne mixed with charcoal smoke. Earthy, lived in. He chuckled, a sound that rumbled low in his chest. "Landscapes hide the real stories. People don't notice the cracks till they trip over 'em." He handed me another beer, our fingers brushing just long enough to send a spark up my arm. Accidental? Maybe. But his gaze lingered, appraising, like he was sizing up a plot of land for development. The afternoon blurred from there. Guests milled about, cousins blasting playlists heavy on Springsteen and Fleetwood Mac. Aunt Lisa holding court by the pool, her stories of closing million-dollar deals punctuated by air kisses. I tried to orbit Sarah, helping her chop limes for drinks, but Mark kept pulling me back in. A question about my job at the Indie Gallery in Silver Lake. A shared eye roll at Uncle Bob's conspiracy rant about chemtrails. By the time the sun dipped low, painting the sky in strokes of peach and lavender, we'd gravitated to the edge of the yard, away from the fray. "You ever feel like you're playing a part?" he asked suddenly, leaning against the fence, beard dangling from his fingers. The mountains loomed behind him, silent witnesses. I hesitated, the words sticking like humidity. "Every damn day." especially in places like this. I gestured vaguely at the party, the laughter, the normalcy. He nodded, slow, like he'd been waiting for someone to say it. Marriage'll do that. Lisa's great on paper, stable, you know? But sometimes. He trailed off, staring at the horizon. His ring glinted again, a reminder sharper than any knife. I should have backed off. Should have mumbled something about the ribs and retreated. But there was something in his voice, a crack in the facade, that mirrored my own fractures. Sometimes what? I pressed, my heart thudding against my ribs. He turned then, fully, and the space between us shrank to nothing. Sometimes you wonder if the script's even yours. We didn't kiss. Not then. But as the stars pricked the twilight, and Sarah called us in for dessert, I felt the pull, like gravity shifting under my feet. Little did I know that backyard was the fuse and Mark was the match. The next few weeks were a haze of what-ifs. Sarah dragged me to another gathering, a casual dinner at her folks, and there he was again, same easy smile, but now laced with secrets. We'd text sporadically. Innocuous stuff at first, links to hiking trails or photos of sunsets I'd snapped on my Canon. Captured the light just right, he'd reply. Like you see things others miss. I told myself it was harmless. Flattery from an older guy, married, straight adjacent. But the messages evolved. Late night ones after Lisa's work dinners ran long. Ever hike Runyon at dawn? Clears the head. Then, what's the one photo you'd frame forever? Mine was a black and white of my ex, mid-laugh, before the lies piled up. His, a faded Polaroid of him and his brother at 13, arms slung around each other on a dusty baseball diamond. One evening, after a gallery opening where I sold 3 prints and drowned the buzz in Negronis, my phone lit up. Can't sleep. You up, Mark? I was sprawled on my futon in Echo Park, city lights bleeding through the blinds. Always, I typed back, thumbs flying. Artist's curse. We talked till 3 a.m., about his architecture firm in downtown LA, the buildings he'd designed that scraped the sky but couldn't touch his restlessness. About my dreams of exhibiting in New York, away from the California dream that felt more like a cage. He confessed the divorce scar. Cheated on by his first wife, left him questioning trust like a foundation cracked by an earthquake. Lisa's different, he said. Solid. But solid ain't always enough. I didn't push. Didn't need to. The subtext hummed between us, electric as a storm front rolling in off the Pacific. The first real meetup was innocent enough. Or so I lied to myself. Hike. His text came on a Saturday, Lisa at a conference in Vegas. I said yes before my brain caught up. Runyon Canyon at dawn was a revelation. Cool air nipping at our heels as we climbed the switchbacks, the city sprawling below like a glittering promise. He moved with quiet assurance, pointing out native sagebrush, the way the fog clung to the Hollywood sign like a lover reluctant to let go. Halfway up, sweat beading on our brows, we paused at a overlook. The sun crested, bathing us in gold. You're braver than you think, Alex, he said, voice rough from the climb. Coming out in a world that still side-eyes it. Takes guts. I laughed it off, but his hand on my shoulder lingered, warm through my tank top. Guts or stupidity? Pick one. Neither. His eyes held mine steady. Truth. That descent sealed it. At the trailhead, over coffee from a food truck, he leaned in. Dinner? My treat. No expectations. I nodded, the word tumbling out. Yeah. The restaurant was a hole-in-the-wall taqueria in Boyle Heights, string lights twinkling against murals of Aztec warriors and lowriders. We split carnitas tacos, talked Foucault and Frank Lloyd Wright, laughed till our sides ached. As the night deepened, his knee brushed mine under the table. Neither pulled away, walking me to my car. The street quiet save for distant mariachi from a bar. He stopped. It's complicated. Everything worth it is, I whispered. Our lips met then, soft, tentative, tasting of lime and possibility. It lasted seconds, but ignited months. What followed was a secret symphony. Stolen afternoons in his office downtown, blueprints scattered like confetti as we mapped each other with hands and whispers. Weekends when Lisa traveled, his Pasadena home became ours. Lazy mornings with coffee on the patio, evenings watching old Hitchcock films, his head on my chest as the credits rolled. He opened up about the closet he'd half-built his life in, the architecture degree to please his dad, the straight marriage to fit the mold, the quiet ache of loving men in a youth he'd suppressed under fraternity keggers and boardroom handshakes. "You're my North Star," he'd murmur, tracing patterns on my skin, showing me the way out of the fog. I fell hard, recklessly. For the first time since the breakup, I felt seen, not as the gay friend, not as the artist scraping by, but as Alex. Whole. Sarah noticed, of course. "You're glowing, dude," she teased over brunch at Skirl. "Spill." I deflected with a grin. "Just selling prints." LA's finally smiling back. But guilt gnawed at the edges. Mark's ring stayed on, a talisman of the life he couldn't yet dismantle. "Lisa deserves better than a lie," he'd say, voice thick. "But leaving? It's not just me." I nodded, understanding in theory. In practice, each knot yet carved deeper. Summer bled into fall, the jacarandas dropping purple carpets on Pasadena streets. Our rhythm held, passion laced with caution, texts coded in emojis only we decoded. Until the night it shattered. Started with a phone call. I was in the darkroom at the gallery. Yeah, I still developed film the old way, chasing that chemical tang of authenticity, when my cell buzzed against the stainless steel sink. Mark's name flashed, unusual for a Thursday at 8 p.m. He was supposed to be at a client dinner, schmoozing permits for a high-rise in Century City. "Alex," he breathed when I answered, voice tight as a guy wire. "I need you. Now." My stomach dropped. "What's wrong?" "Just come. The house. Please." I was there in 20, weaving through traffic on the 110, the city lights blurring into streaks of neon anxiety. The Craftsman loomed dark against the moonless sky, only the porch light a hesitant beacon. Mark yanked open the door before I could knock, his face a map of storm clouds. Eyes red-rimmed, shirt untucked like he'd been pacing for hours. "She's back early," he said, pulling me inside, the door clicking shut like a verdict. Found the texts, the ones from the trailhead. Ice flooded my veins. The hike photos, me mid-stride, grinning like an idiot, captioned "Dawn Chaser," harmless to anyone else, poison to her. "Where is she?" I whispered, though the house echoed empty. "Out," screaming in the car, then peeled off. Said she needs space. He raked a hand through his hair, silver strands catching the lamplight. "God, Alex, I never meant." I crossed the foyer in 2 strides, cupping his face. "Hey, breathe. We'll figure it." But his eyes, those hazel depths I drowned in, now swirled with terror. "Figure what? My marriage in flames? Lisa's not just a wife. She's my partner, my best friend. 20 years. And you." He pulled back, searching my face. "You're the spark that lit the powder keg." The words landed like punches. I stepped away, the Persian rug suddenly vast between us. "So what now? You regret it?" "No." He lunged forward, gripping my arms. "Christ, no. But this us, it's real. Too real. And I can't just burn it all down." We argued then, voices rising in the living room where family photos lined the mantel. Mark and Lisa at their wedding, beaming in '98. Vacations in Maui, holidays with Sarah as a kid, gap-toothed and gleeful. Artifacts of a life I'd infiltrated like a thief. "You think I want to hide?" I shot back, heat rising. "I've been out since 18, Mark. Fought for it. Family holidays where my uncle called me an abomination. Jobs where clients whispered slurs. And you? You're still playing house." His face crumpled. "It's not that simple. I'm 47. This town, this firm, it's built on appearances. Lose that, lose everything." "Everything except you," I said softly, the fight draining out. I pulled him close, his body sagging against mine. We sank to the couch, tangled in silence, the clock ticking like a bomb. Lisa returned at midnight, key scraping the lock like nails on chalkboard. She burst in, cheek streaked, eyes wild. Mark? We need to talk. I bolted upright, heart slamming. He'd forgotten I was there, or hoped I'd vanish. Who the hell is this? She demanded, zeroing on me like a hawk on prey. Mark stammered. Alex, Sarah's friend. He was just Sarah's friend, she echoed, laugh brittle. The one from the barbecue. The one whose texts make your phone light up like Christmas. She advanced, heels clicking fury. Tell me I'm wrong. The air thickened, suffocating. I stood, legs leaden. I should go. No, Mark said, rising. Lisa, please, let me explain. But she whirled on him, venom spilling. Explain? You've been lying for months, sneaking around like some teenager. And with a man? After all we've built. The slur hung unspoken, but it sliced deep. I met Mark's gaze, pleading, broken, and saw the fracture lines spiderwebbing. I'm sorry, I mouthed, slipping out the door into the night. The drive home was a blur, Pasadena's manicured lawns mocking my chaos. I crashed at Sarah's, pounding the door till she answered in pajamas, confusion etching her face. Alex? What's? Mark? I choked out, collapsing onto her couch. It's over before it started. She pieced it together over tea at dawn, her hug fierce as she rocked me. Uncle Mark? Oh honey, I should have seen it, the looks at the barbecue, the way he asked about you. Guilt twisted anew. I wrecked it. Their marriage. She shook her head, fierce. You didn't wreck anything. Secrets do that. And he's a grown man. But the fallout rippled. Mark went radio silent for days. Texts unanswered, calls to voicemail. I threw myself into work, developing rolls of film that captured nothing but shadows. Abandoned boardwalks at Venice Beach, graffiti-scarred alleys in Skid Row, faces blurred in the Santa Monica crowds. Anything to outrun the ache. Sarah mediated, gently. He's a mess. Lisa's talking divorce, but not because of you, because he checked out years ago. Therapy's on the table. I nodded, numb. Doesn't change that I fell for a ghost. 2 weeks in, he showed at the gallery. Closing time. Rain sluicing the windows like tears the sky forgot to cry. I was mopping up after a workshop, the scent of fixer sharp in the air. Alex. His voice, ragged. I froze, mop handle slick in my grip. You shouldn't be here. I know. He stepped inside, dripping, the space between us charged. I handled it wrong. Panicked. But losing you? That's the real earthquake. We talked, raw, unfiltered. He was staying at a hotel in Glendale, Lisa at a spa retreat in Ojai, their assets frozen in limbo. I'm done hiding, he vowed, taking my hand. Lawyers filed papers. For real this time. Relief warred with wariness. And us? His thumb traced my knuckles. If you'll have me. Slow. Honest. I searched his eyes. Found the truth I'd glimpsed that first barbecue afternoon. Okay. I whispered. Slow. Rebuilding was tentative, like piecing a mosaic from shards. Coffee dates turned to dinners at quiet bistros in Los Feliz, where we dissected the wreckage. His internalized shame from a Baptist upbringing, my fear of being the other man again. We hiked more, Eaton Canyon now, where wildflowers nodded approval, and he sketched building concepts inspired by the rugged cliffs, me photographing the way light fractured on water. Fall deepened, leaves turning amber in the canyons. Lisa reached out once, through Sarah. A terse email. Tell him I wish him well. And the kid? Be kind. Life's too short for closets. No venom, just exhaustion. Humanized her, softened the villain in my head. Thanksgiving loomed. A gauntlet. Sarah's family table minus Lisa's empty chair. Mark sat across from me, our knees brushing under the damask cloth. A secret anchor. Toasts were made to new beginnings. Dad's turkey carved with ceremony. Later, as pie circulated, he caught my eye. Grateful for you, he mouthed. I smiled, warmth blooming. For the first time, the room felt like home. Winter brought snow to the mountains, a rarity that dusted Pasadena in whimsy. We decorated our house, strings of lights winding the banister, a tree heavy with ornaments from his childhood. On Christmas Eve, bundled against the chill, we drove to Griffith Observatory, the city a carpet of lights below. "Remember the hike?" he asked, arm around me as we leaned on the rail. "Dawn Chaser," I echoed, grinning. He pulled a small box from his coat. Velvet, unassuming. Inside, a silver chain with a pendant. A tiny compass, etched with coordinates. Runyon Canyon, where it started. My throat tightened. "Mark." No promises yet, just direction. I fastened it around my neck, the metal cool against my skin. We kissed there, under the stars, the observatory's dome a silent guardian. Spring unfurled like forgiveness. Azaleas rioting in the yard, our first joint exhibit at the gallery. His architectural renderings paired with my photos, fractured horizons. Critics called it poignant, a dialogue on hidden structures. Sold out opening, Sarah beaming in the crowd. But peace is fragile as sea glass. The betrayal came not from Mark, but from within, from the doubt I'd carried like an extra shadow. It hit during a routine weekend in May, the kind where LA pretends it's not a desert and blooms riotous under a benevolent sun. We'd planned a road trip to Big Sur, his idea, to chase the Pacific Coast Highway's curves, photograph the bridges that defied gravity, talk about futures without the weight of pasts. I packed light. Camera, sketchpad, a playlist of Bon Iver and Phoebe Bridgers for the winding miles. The drive up was magic. Windows down, salt wind whipping our hair, his hand on my thigh as we sang off key to Skinny Love. We stopped at viewpoints, me snapping the Bixby Bridge arched like a promise against crashing waves. Him tracing the engineering marvels with a reverent finger. "Built in 34, he murmured. "Depression era. Folks needed hope." By Pfeiffer Beach, purple sands glowing at dusk, we spread a blanket. Uncorked wine from a Monterey vineyard. The ocean roared approval, foam fingers reaching for the shore. "This is us," I said, clinking glasses. "Wild, unscripted." He smiled, that crinkle-eyed one that still unraveled me. Too unscripted. But as stars wheeled overhead, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He glanced, face shuddering. "Work," he lied, silencing it. I let it slide, chalked it to old habits. But the seed rooted. Back in Pasadena, the cracks widened. Late nights at the firm stretched longer, deadlines pulling him away. I'd wait with takeout from Roscoe's, chicken and waffles cooling, only for him to crash exhausted, kisses perfunctory. "Big project," he'd say, avoiding my eyes. Doubt festered. Was it the divorce hangover? Lisa's alimony bites? Or me, too young, too out? A reminder of the life he'd upended? One evening, Sarah cornered me at a pop-up art market in Venice. "You okay? Look like you swallowed a lemon." I hedged, but she pressed. "Mark mentioned therapy, solo sessions, processing the guilt." Guilt. The word stung. She sighed, linking arms as we wandered stalls of ceramicists and jewelers. "Not about you, about hurting her. It's messy, Alex, but he's trying." I nodded, but the compass around my neck felt heavier, pointing not north, but to questions. The climax erupted on a sweltering July night, 4th of July redux, irony thick as humidity. Sarah's annual bash, the backyard alight with fireworks and fairy lights, family orbiting like planets around the grill. Mark arrived late, tie loosened, cologne masking something sharper. "Whiskey?" He found me by the cooler, pulling me into a hug that lingered too tight. "Missed you," he breathed, lips grazing my ear. But his eyes darted to Lisa, across the yard, chatting with her sister, a date on her arm, some silver-haired exec who laughed at her jokes. Post-divorce glow, untouched by our drama. "She's happy," I observed, neutral. "Yeah." His jaw tightened. "Good for her." The party pulsed, firecrackers popping, kids shrieking delight, Springsteen blasting Born to Run. We danced in the shadows, his hands on my waist, swaying to the beat. For a moment it was that first barbecue, electric, alive. Then his phone vibrated again. He checked it, paling. I gotta take this. He slipped away, toward the side yard, voice low as I trailed discreetly. I said no, Rick. It's done. Pause, tense. Because I'm with someone. For real. Rick. The name echoed. A junior partner at his firm. I'd met him once. Slick, charming, with a handshake that lingered. Flirtatious banter I dismissed as straight guy broingy. My blood ran cold. I peered around the corner, saw Mark's profile, phone clenched white-knuckled. Look, the cabin was a mistake. Heat of the moment. But Alex, he's it. The cabin. Our planned anniversary getaway in Idlewild. Postponed for work. But not work. Him. Betrayal bloomed, hot and vicious. I backed away, chest heaving, the fireworks exploding overhead like accusations. I confronted him at dawn, waiting on his porch as he stumbled home, reeking of regret and tequila. Who's Rick? I demanded, voice steel. He stopped, keys dangling. What? Heard you. On the phone. The cabin. His face drained. Alex, it's not. Don't. I held up a hand, the compass glinting like mockery. How long? Silence stretched, damning. Twice. After the Big Sur trip. He was there at the bar buying drinks. One thing led. He trailed off shame-etching lines. I was scared. Of failing you. Of this being too good, too soon. Scared. Fury crested. You think cheating fixes fear? Erases the closet. He reached for me, desperate. I love you. God, Alex, you're everything. But the words rang hollow, echoes of my ex's ghosting grace. Love doesn't betray, I said, stepping back. It builds. I left him there, door slamming finality, driving into the rising sun, tears blurring the freeway. The aftermath was a descent. I ghosted everyone. Sarah's worried voicemails stacked like unpaid bills. The gallery a refuge where I lost myself in enlargements of fractured glass. Shattered mirrors reflecting infinite regret. Mark's texts pleaded. Let me explain. Therapy twice a week now. I'm broken but fixable. For you. I deleted them one by one, the delete chime a dirge. Summer waned. Monsoons lashing the city with rare fury. I hiked alone. Runyon at midnight, stars indifferent overhead. Chasing catharsis in sweat and solitude. Therapy for me, too. A queer-affirming counselor in West Hollywood. Sessions unpacking the pattern. You deserve reciprocity, she said. Not scraps. Sarah staged an intervention over coffee at Intelligentsia. He's a wreck, Alex. Lost the big client holed up designing doghouses. But this isn't about him. It's you. I stirred my latte, foam swirling chaos. I know, but trust? It's ash now. She squeezed my hand. Then rise from it. Phoenix style. Fall arrived, crisp as resolve. The gallery hosted a solo show. Echoes. Prints of empty spaces. Echoes of what was. The opening drew a crowd, critics praising the raw vulnerability. Sales funding a deposit on a studio in Silver Lake. Mark came. Last row. Unobtrusive in a wool coat. Eyes shadowed. He waited till the end, approaching as guests thinned. Stunning, he said, voice rough. You. I nodded, guarded. Thanks. A beat. I won't beg, but I needed to see you whole. You helped break me, I admitted. But I'm mending. He smiled, sad. Proud of you. He left a note in my mailbox days later. Coordinates to a new spot. A overlook in the Verdugos with a sketch. 2 figures on a bridge, hands linked, horizon open. I went. Not for him, for me. The view stole breath. Ellie sprawled, resilient, lights winking forgiveness. He was there, compass twin around his neck. No expectations, he said. Just truth. We talked for hours. His growth. The betrayals he'd owned in group sessions for older gays navigating late blooms. My boundaries, the non-negotiables. No quick fixes. Trial dates, not declarations. Winter wrapped us tentative. A probation of park walks and museum Sundays. The Getty's gardens, irises nodding in the breeze, became our neutral ground. Conversations meandering from Monet's water lilies to the fragility of light. Mark shared journals from therapy. Entries on shame's grip, the boy he'd been, suppressing crushes on the quarterback under bleacher shadows. I envied your courage, he confessed, bench cold under cypress trees. Out at 25. Me? Half a lifetime later. I shared scars too. The ex who'd promised forever then fled to a picket fence life in the Midwest, leaving me adrift in a city of transients. Betrayal's a teacher, I said. Harsh but honest. We rebuilt brick by brick. Date nights at the Hollywood Bowl, picnics under string lights where he read architecture manifestos aloud, me capturing his animated gestures in candid shots. No overnights yet. My apartment a sanctuary, his house a half-empty echo. But touches lingered. Fingers interlaced crossing streets, forehead kisses at goodbyes. Spring tested us. Lisa's divorce finalized. Amicable. She's starting a consultancy. He's selling the craftsman for a modern condo in Atwater Village. Minimalist lines mirroring his fresh start. At the closing, she handed him a box. Their wedding album, topped with a note. Burn if you must. Or learn. He didn't burn. Shared pages with me one rainy afternoon. Rain pattering the skylight like hesitant applause. See? We were kids playing house. I traced a photo. Them at 27, eyes wide with possibility. And now I'm home, he said, pulling me close. The kiss was deeper, surer, no shadows. Sarah's wedding capped the season. Her to a software was named Jake. Ceremony at the Huntington Library. Gardens lush as Eden. Mark walked her down the aisle. Stand-in for their ailing grandpa. His tux sharp, smile genuine. I stood best man, toasting their forever with a speech on found families. Sarah taught me love isn't blood. It's choice. Fierce, flawed, and full. Later, under lantern glow, Mark found me by the rose garden. You were brilliant. You weren't bad yourself. I tugged his lapel. Uncle of the year. He laughed, then sobered. 6 months clean. No slips. Therapy's a lifeline. I nodded, pride swelling. I see it. The question hung, unspoken. We danced slow to At Last. Etta James' velvet plea. As the song faded, he whispered, Move in? Not forever. Just try. My heart stuttered. Trust, fragile as spun glass. But his eyes, clear, committed, tipped the scale. Yes. Summer returned. Full circle. Another barbecue at Sarah and Jake's new place in Eagle Rock. Smaller yard, but hearts fuller. Grills smoked. Laughter rang. Mountains hazy in the heat. Mark manned the tongs, flipping burgers with flair, while I snapped candids. Sarah pregnant glow, Jake beaming, cousins chasing fireflies. As dusk fell, he pulled me aside, to the fence line where it began. 1 year, he said, pressing a key into my palm. To the condo, etched with our coordinates. To horizons. I pocketed it, drawing him near. To us. The kiss was unhurried. Fireworks bursting distant over Dodger Stadium. A public affirmation, small but seismic. Sarah hooped from the deck, raising a glass. About damn time. We laughed, tangled, the party fading to backdrop. Betrayals healed not in erasures, but etchings, scars that mapped resilience. Mark's late bloom, my guarded heart. Together, we bloomed too. Years folded like well-worn maps. The condo became home, walls lined with our joint exhibit, a second show in San Francisco drawing lines around the block. His firm pivoted to sustainable designs, green builds that whispered hope to a warming world. I opened a satellite gallery in downtown, mentoring young queer artists, their visions fierce as wildfires. Mark proposed on a hike, not Runyon, but a new trail in the Santa Monicas, wild oats whispering at our ankles. On one knee amid lupin, ring simple platinum. Partners? In design, in life. I said yes, tears salting the wind. Our wedding was understated City Hall, then a reception at the gallery, string quartet playing Ellington, Sarah officiating with vows that cracked us up and open. Lisa came, hugging Mark tight, whispering to me, He's yours. Guard that heart. We did. Vacations to the Sierras, cabins where we sketched dreams. Adopting, maybe, a kid craving the stability we'd forged. Advocacy too, panels on late in life coming out. His TEDx talk, Blueprints for Authenticity, going viral. Mine, a photo series, Visible Fault Lines. Betrayals? They lingered as teachers, reminders to check foundations. But love? It was the rebar, unyielding. On our 5th anniversary, back at that Verdugo overlook, city lights a sea below, we toasted with Shiner from a cooler, full circle to the barbecue that sparked it. To cracks, he said, clinking bottles. They let the light in. To light? I echoed, compass warm against my chest. In America, the land of reinvention, where closets crack under their own weight, we'd built something enduring. Not perfect, but profoundly human. 2 men, mended and moving forward, hands linked against whatever horizon called next.